The design of an ERP is in three parts, which is what? The application end. You have Microsoft Dynamics, or you have Navision, which is actually part of Microsoft Dynamics now. You have Sage, you have SAP, you have Orion. These are ERPs. That is the application part. Now, there is the middleman, which is usually what I call the process, and that is called the database management system. Then there is the database. All the staff that you see in a company, for example, the finance staff that are using this ERP, what they are basically doing are just capturing data. They are inputting data into the database through the application. There is a language system, this I told you in my first video, that is enabling this application to communicate with the database. For example, you go to the bank. That is an easy way to just explain to you. You go to the bank. Let's take that bank part as just a module of an ERP. You go to the bank, you fill your deposit form or your withdrawal form, and you give it to the teller. The teller will punch them into the system. For example, your account number or just your name. And then she's going to put that system in a query mode. Once she press, or in the search mode, once she press enter, all your details will come out. Now, where are those details coming from? Those details are coming from the database that they were stored. So if you are going to withdraw, she will pull out the money for you, and then she will enter that transaction using a journal to post it, and it will hit the database. These three stages must be established. But what you are actually seeing in terms of all the finance staff, or the procurement staff, or the inventory staff, or the sales staff, or HR staff, what they are doing is using the application end of it. That is what you are seeing. You can't see the database management system and the database. Those parts are managed by the IT guys. I have had the opportunity over a decade to manage these three dimensions, which is the application itself. I train staff that I employ into the company: procurement, inventory, HR, payroll, finance. I actually train all the staff in all these various departments. And then I manage the ERP itself, which is the DBMS, the database management system. I manage it using SQL and PLSQL. Then I also communicate with the database. But what I want to do mostly in this video now is to show you the application part, not the DBMS part, not the database part. Once the accounting staff or any other staff that uses this ERP, they come in every morning, they open the application, and they input in the data. These data are stored. So the finance manager can now pull this information or this data, pass them through a report process, and create a system that will enable the management to look at and then take a decision. That is actually the structure of an ERP. What you see the end users doing is actually using the application. It doesn't end there. That is what I've tried to explain to you in the part of religion, where I talked about the input, the process, and the output. I gave you this illustration using the meeting between Jesus and the centurion. He explained these three dimensions. What you were seeing in the physical is just like this application end. There was the back end, which is the database management system, and then there is the database itself. Because that was what the centurion was saying. That, listen, the source from which I draw my power is not strong enough to remove the impurity in my servant. I have observed you closely. You have the energy. Your own energy source is stronger than mine. Help me knock off this impurity. That was what he said. I've actually explained this in my previous videos, so you can go back and check those videos. But in this one now, I want to give you a practical explanation to how an ERP works, so that when you apply to any company, you will understand exactly what you are going there to do and how they function. This is more than a decade of experience that I'm giving to you. So if you follow through this video, you can actually walk up to a company and say, I have 10 years of experience, or more than 10 years of experience. Now, how does an ERP really work? Every company has a line of business, and for that reason, they are going to have departments. We have the HR department, we have the payroll department, we have the IT department, the sales department, the inventory, procurement. You're also going to deal with customers and suppliers, because you are going to buy stock items too, and you're going to keep them in your store. You need to create suppliers in the system. You also need to create customers in the system. Then you open a bank account to the bank. You have to come to the system and create a ledger account that represents that bank. and then you map them together. All these things need to be created in the system. In the part of finance, like what I've written on the board, we have the journals, we have the ledger, we have your trial balance, your balance sheet, your P&L, and your cash flow report that you're actually going to present to management. Now, when the finance staff have been able to enter all this data into the system, there is the link between this finance and operation. Under finance, your ledger account are actually divided into two portions, which is the main account and then the control account. Now, in the part of the main account, say for example your bank account, you post into it directly. But in the case of a control account, which is actually your trade account payable or is what your creditors, you have the suppliers under the sub. So this account, you don't post into the trade account payable directly. When you enter it, I actually have a diagram for that. When you enter it, then you now go into the suppliers and post into them. That is your control account. When you look at what I have on the board there, your ledger is divided into these two, main account and control account. Now, if you look at this, you will notice that the control account is not one single account that you post into directly. For example, your trade account payable. Your trade account payable has to do with suppliers. So when you go into the trade account payable, it will ask you for sub. Then you can now post into any of the suppliers that you are dealing with. That is basically what this drawing is all about. Why this one is a main account that you post into it directly. For example, your bank account. The concept of an ERP, which is the application end, is designed in such a way that everything that the company is dealing with physically, you have to also create them on the system. Now, a company is dealing with the bank. So when you go to the bank and you create an account to the bank, the bank give you their account number. That account number is the ledger account in which the bank is posting into. You have to come into your own system and create a ledger account in your own, a main ledger account in your own system that are going to post into. Then you can now map that your ledger account with the account number that the bank has given to you and the bank name. So anytime you pick that bank, the ledger account in which you are going to post into will come out. That part has to be set. Then you can also create maybe departments in your companies, because this department will have to request things from the store. So you can map it in such a way that when this department requests things from the store, say for example A4 paper, you can track how much of that A4 paper that department is consuming. So that part is there. You also have to create it. You also have to create the store department, because anytime you are purchasing anything from the supplier, maybe stock items, you have to keep it in a particular location. You have to create that location in the system, because you also have that location in the physical company. You have the HR department, you have the payroll department. When an employee comes in, you have to capture that employee in the system, and then at the end of the day, you have to pay the employee salary. This salary will also have to flow into finance. All these data will be captured by all the employees in the company. This is how they're actually going to use the ERP. They capture the data in. At the end of the day, the finance manager will pull out this data, run a report, give this report to management to enable them to take a decision. What I'm going to show you in this video is to actually show you this practical end of it, so that when you go to any company, it will be very easy for you. Because what I've observed in the course of my training, or most of the employees that are coming in, this has enabled me to see the gap between our educational system and the workplace. This is what prompted me to actually start up this channel, in order for me to contribute my 10 years or more than 10 years of experience that I've acquired to the society. That is why I'm doing this. I need your support. Like I keep saying, I need your support to enable me put this out and put this forward. So in this video, I'll be showing you the concept of the journals. The journals like your JV, like your BPV, bank payment vouchers, like your cash receipt, bank receipt. These are the transactions you are going to use to capture data into the database. And then you will run your balance sheet, you will run your P&L, you will run your cash flow report to be able to present management information. Let's take a flow where the store manager wants to replenish the A4 paper in the store. He makes a request to procurement department, and procurement will communicate with various suppliers, get a quotation from this supplier, and then pick a particular supplier after they check out the prices or after price comparison. Now, what do? They will raise a PO, send this PO to the supplier. Then the supplier will bring this A4 paper. The store manager will receive the A4 paper and will do a JRN. He would take this GRN to the store, to the finance department, and they will do costing. Now, at the point of raising the PO, they've captured the tax. Now, at the point of doing the costing by the finance department, if there's going to be a withholding tax, that is actually the part is going to be captured. Now, what would be the finance entry? Because this process is actually coming from operation. Now, how is it going to eat the ledger of finance? At the point of the costing, the supplier will be credited the full amount of money at the point of costing. But if there is withholding, that withholding amount will be debited to that supplier account. The supplier account will have two things: the full amount credited to the supplier, and then the withholding tax amount will also be debited to the supplier. Then the credit part of that withholding tax will be to the withholding tax account. That is, the withholding tax account will be credited, and then the supplier account will be debited that withholding tax amount. But the full amount will also be credited to the supplier. Then the full amount will be debited to the stock account, which was created in finance department. This is the entry. Now, assuming that if maybe somebody in HR department wants to use this A4 paper, they will go to the store, they will make a request to the store, and then the store manager will issue this A4 paper out. Now, the entry of this transaction that will be issued out will be that the HR department will be, an expense account will be debited that value, that quantity of A4 paper that has been collected by the HR department. An expense account, say maybe printing and stationery, will be debited that amount. And then the stock account will be credited that value. Now, you want to pay the supplier, and you probably want to pay the supplier to the bank. So maybe you use a transaction called maybe your bank voucher. Before you can actually pay, you have to open the supplier account, the supplier ledger. You have to open it and see what is inside. The debit part will be removed from the credit leg. So the net value is what you are going to pay to the supplier. So at that point of your bank payment voucher, you are going to debit the supplier that amount that you are going to pay, and then that amount will be credited to your bank because you made the payment through the bank. These are the entries that will be done. All these transactional entries like this will be captured in the system. This, at the end of the day, in your trial balance, you will now be able to have total debit and your total credit. The case of the balance sheet is actually dealing with assets and your liability, while the P&L will be dealing with your income and expense. And then the cash flow report will also deal with how money is coming in and how money is going out. All these reports will be pulled out from the database by the finance manager and then presented to the management team, who will now use this to take a decision. This is actually how ERP works. Now, in the part of payroll, when a staff is employed into the system, that staff will be captured in the system. At the end of the month, the staff will be paid his or her salary. There has to be an integration between the payroll and the finance module, so that everything about payroll will flow into finance, and finance will be able to see how much expense in terms of salary was captured for a particular month and then for a particular year. These are things that enable the management to be able to take decision. This is actually the process flow of an ERP. So many things are involved. The sales part is also there. And these are all the things I'll be showing you as we move on, looking at the application part of an ERP. Like I told you, it has three parts: the application, the database management system, and the database itself. I'll be showing you all these parts subsequently as we go on. A lot of things are involved, but right now I'm dealing with this part. In this video, I've just shown you the concept of BPV, that is bank payment voucher. I've shown you the concept of JRN. I've shown you the concept of issuance from the store. I've actually shown you three concepts in this video, but I need to be able to show you this very well using the board. I thought I was going to be able to achieve that today, but looking at the constraint that I have with my lighting and the position of my camera to the board is not really going to work well, because I'm sitting down right now to do this particular lecture. But at least with this little thing that I've shown to you, you should be able to understand my goal and what I want to achieve with this lecture or with this channel. Please guys, I need your support. I really need your support. Liking the video, subscribing to my channel, promoting my videos. I don't mind. So till then, I'll see you in my subsequent video.